Recently, Google Trends has been flooded with one big question. Did Jasmine Crockett lose her seat? Asterisk, it's a phrase that has caught fire online, making people wonder if Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, one of the most outspoken and hyped Democrats in the House of Representatives, has suddenly been voted out, removed, or replaced. Asterisk, but here's the truth. Jasmine Crockett has not lost her seat. She is still representing Texas's 30th congressional district, a position she won decisively in the 2024 elections. So why are millions of people suddenly searching about her political future? Asterisk, the answer lies in a storm brewing in Texas politics. A controversial redistricting plan, championed by Republicans, could reshape Crockett's district so dramatically that it may effectively push her out of power. Combine that with the national spotlight she often finds herself in, and you have the perfect recipe for confusion, speculation, and viral trends. Asterisk, in this video, we'll break down asterisk before we dive into the controversy. Let's take a step back and talk about who Jasmine Crockett actually is. Asterisk, Jasmine Crockett is a Democrat from Texas who represents the state's 30th congressional district in the U.S. House of Representatives, but her journey into politics didn't begin in Washington. It began in the courtroom. Asterisk, Crockett trained as a civil rights attorney, where she built her reputation fighting for justice, equality, and underrepresented communities. Her legal career focused on issues like racial discrimination, police accountability, and protecting the rights of minorities in Texas. That grassroots work quickly gave her credibility among progressive voters. Asterisk, in 2020, she won a seat in the Texas House of Representatives, where she became known for her bold and unapologetic approach. She didn't shy away from calling out opponents, whether on issues of voting rights, healthcare, or education. Asterisk, then came her leap to the national stage. In 2022, Jasmine Crockett ran for Congress and was elected to represent Texas's 30th district, a traditionally Democratic stronghold anchored in the Dallas area. By 2024, she wasn't just winning, she was dominating. In that year's general election, she secured nearly 85% of the vote against her Republican challenger. Asterisk, this landslide victory cemented her status as a rising Democratic star. She became a frequent voice in congressional hearings, especially as a member of the House Oversight Committee, where her sharp questioning style often went viral on social media. Asterisk, so when people now ask, did Jasmine Crockett lose her seat? The question seems puzzling at first glance, because just 1 year ago, she looked more secure than ever. Asterisk, so if Jasmine Crockett won her last election by nearly 85% of the vote, why are people suddenly worried that she might be losing her seat? The answer lies in one word: redistricting. Every 10 years, after the U.S. Census, states redraw their congressional maps to reflect population changes. That's normal. But what's happening in Texas right now is not the usual process. It's something being called a mid-decade redistricting. Asterisk, Republicans control both the Texas state legislature and the governor's office, and earlier this year, they introduced a controversial plan to redraw congressional boundaries years ahead of schedule. The goal, according to critics, is clear: shift district lines in a way that gives Republicans more safe seats, potentially as many as 5 additional ones. Asterisk, here's where Jasmine Crockett comes in. Her district, the 30th, has long been a Democratic stronghold with a large Black and Hispanic population. Under the new Republican proposal, the boundaries of her district could be dramatically altered. Reports suggest that either asterisk, her home could be drawn outside of her own district, or the demographics of her district could change in such a way that the Democratic vote becomes diluted. In other words, a seat that once looked rock solid for Democrats could suddenly become highly competitive, or even lean Republican. Asterisk, this is the real reason why people are Googling, did Jasmine Crockett lose her seat? The short answer is no, not yet. She still holds her seat and continues to serve in Congress, but the long-term picture is uncertain. If these new maps go into effect before the 2026 elections, Crockett could be forced into one of the toughest political battles of her career. Asterisk, and it's not just about one seat. This fight reflects a much bigger debate in Texas politics, whether redistricting is being used as a tool to fairly represent voters, or as a weapon to lock in partisan power. As soon as news of the redistricting proposal broke, the political battle lines were drawn. On one side, Jasmine Crockett and her fellow Democrats They argue that this mid-decade redistricting plan is nothing short of voter suppression. Crockett has been especially outspoken, warning that the Republican-drawn maps are designed to weaken the voices of minority voters, particularly Black and Hispanic communities that have historically powered Democratic victories in her district. She and other Democrats say that this isn't just about one person's political career. It's about the principle of fair representation. In their view, voters should be able to choose their representatives, not the other way around. But on the other side is Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the state's Republican leadership. They strongly reject Crockett's claims. Abbott went so far as to accuse Jasmine Crockett herself of being racist for suggesting that the redistricting plan was intentionally targeting minority voters. To Abbott and his allies, this is simply politics as usual. They argue that redistricting is a legal constitutional process and that Democrats are just upset because they may lose the safe seats they've relied on for years. The back and forth between Crockett and Abbott has turned into a media spectacle. Outlets like the Daily Beast, Politico, and the Texas Tribune have covered their exchanges in detail, with headlines that amplify the drama. The narrative has become so heated that casual readers sometimes walk away with the impression that Crockett's seat is already gone. In reality, it hasn't gone anywhere, at least not yet. But the war of words has only heightened public confusion. And as often happens in American politics, the louder the fight, the murkier the truth becomes. So let's pause here and answer the most important question directly. Has Jasmine Crockett lost her seat? The answer is simple. No, she has not. As of right now, Jasmine Crockett remains the duly elected representative for Texas's 30th congressional district. She won re-election in 2024 with nearly 85% of the vote, and her term in Congress is still active. She continues to serve on committees, participate in hearings, and represent her constituents in Washington, D.C. What's driving all the speculation isn't an election result, it's the possibility of future changes. The proposed redistricting plan from Texas Republicans has not yet taken full effect. It's still subject to legal challenges, political negotiations, and potentially court battles that could drag on for months, if not years. So, while the maps could make Crockett's seat more competitive in 2026, nothing has been decided yet, and until voters go to the polls in that next election cycle, Jasmine Crockett remains in her seat. It's also important to understand the difference between losing a seat and having a seat put at risk. Right now, Crockett is in the second category. Her seat isn't gone, but the security she once enjoyed as the representative of a safe Democratic district may soon be a thing of the past. That's why this story has captured so much attention, because it's not just about today, it's about the uncertainty of tomorrow. So if Jasmine Crockett still holds her seat, why are so many people typing into Google, did she lose her seat? The answer comes down to confusion, headlines, and timing. First, let's talk about the headlines. When media outlets report on redistricting, they often use dramatic phrasing to grab attention. You'll see titles like Crockett's seat in jeopardy or Texas Republicans target Democratic strongholds. For the average reader, those words can easily be interpreted as, she's already out. Second, social media adds fuel to the fire. Platforms like Twitter, X, TikTok, and Facebook thrive on short, emotional posts. A single viral tweet saying Jasmine Crockett just lost her seat can spread far faster than a detailed article explaining that it's only a proposal. Misinformation, or even just oversimplification, travels quickly. And finally, there's the timing. Redistricting is a complicated, technical process. For most voters, the details of map drawing, demographic shifts, and legislative procedures are hard to follow. So when a big name like Jasmine Crockett gets pulled into that conversation, people naturally turn to Google to get a quick, clear answer. That's why we're seeing this breakout in search traffic. It's not because she's lost her seat, it's because people want certainty in the middle of a messy, confusing story. So here's the bottom line. Jasmine Crockett has not lost her seat. She is still serving as the Congresswoman for Texas's 30th district, and she will continue to do so until at least the 2026 elections. What has everyone buzzing is the Republican-led push to redraw Texas's congressional maps. If those new maps are approved and survive the inevitable court challenges, Crockett's once safe district could become far less secure. That means she'd likely face a much tougher fight to hold on to her seat in the next election. But today, right now, she remains in Congress. The viral question, did Jasmine Crockett lose her seat, reflects not the reality of her current position, but the uncertainty of her political future. And that uncertainty raises bigger questions. Should politicians be allowed to change district boundaries mid-decade? Is redistricting being used to give voters fairer representation, or to lock in partisan advantage? And most importantly, what does this mean for democracy in Texas and across the country? Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Jasmine Crockett can hold on to her seat in 2026? And do you believe mid-decade redistricting should even be allowed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into trending political stories.